backpack blower that came in Friday. Didn't have time to look at it then, but I'm going to dig into it this morning. Customer brought in saying it will not start. So it worked for a while this spring, hasn't run in a while, and now he wants to do some leaves with it. So a couple things, the obvious things that I check, going to be the fuel. So we always dump out the fuel to start out with. The second thing, I did ask him questions, which I always do when people bring stuff in. He said that he mixes his oil strong. So if somebody mixes their oil strong and it's not 50-1, chances are there's going to be probably some carbon buildup on the spark arrestor. So if you take a look at the spark arrestor on the muffler, there is some coloring right there. Let me show you there. So notice all that extra soot and coloring there. So I'm going to look in there and see if that there's actually some buildup in there, because that could be causing the issue if it's not able to breathe properly. The other thing I'm going to check is going to be the tank vent on there. That's going to be up underneath here. If it gets dirty, that's not going to allow fuel to get pulled in the carburetor. The next thing is going to be the fuel filter, making sure that's clean. I'm going to check the carburetor, clean off the ignition coil, put a new spark plug in it. Just basically go through and service the whole thing. And between all that different stuff, I'm sure I will find out what is wrong with it. So let's get into it today. So these, unfortunately, you got to take that whole shroud off if you're going to be digging in there. They got everything buried pretty good under the shroud. Grab my impact and I'll show you where all the screws are hidden on here. If you haven't done one of these before, some of the screws are a little bit hard to see. So you got to take off the recoil assembly here. So you got the 3 screws there. Up here's the screw. Get my handy dandy little magnet cup so I don't lose anything. Another screw there. And then I don't know if you can see it down in here. We got a screw down there. And we got another screw on this side. So I got to pop both of those off. And of course, on the side, the air filter cover. 2 screws on that. And now the shroud should pop right off. So usually when you start seeing some oil down here, the bottom, that is an indicator that there's a crank leak. So these seals right here, if you see oil residue on there, that's usually leaking out of there. So sometimes they'll work fine. Other times, if there's a bunch of heavy residue, then you have a major leak. And that is going to cause lean run issue. You're going to get an air sucked in there. Could be a crack here. I've seen cracks before. So just keep that in mind. Look for obvious signs. So I got the spark arrestor here. I can see inside there, and that one looks clean. You can see right there, there's no blockage on there. If that was blocked, that would be an air restriction issue. So let's replace the spark plug. customer coming in here. We'll have to see. I don't know why sometimes these spark plugs, the threads get real stuck on there tight. You got to take them almost all the way off with your scrunch. All right. That is real dry, but if you look right here, and get this to lock in on you, there's actually a chunk of that spark plug missing. I don't know why. I've never seen one like that before. So maybe that is our issue. That's why we check these things. So big difference in the two plugs. Get that replaced. Overall condition of the unit is fairly well. It's a homeowner's unit, so it's not been trashed by employees. But just like anything else over time, there can be issues. So I'm going to take my air tool and blow all the dust off of there. So something we're going to do too, if you look right there, down there, that's the tank vent. I'm going to shoot some carb cleaner on it and blow that off. Make sure that's good. Because like I said, if it's a tank vent issue, your unit can run fine for a little bit, and then it'll eventually build up a vacuum and it won't work. So another thing to check are these points on the flywheel. If there's a bunch of rust on them, clean those off with a wire brush. The gap looks good on that, so we check that. Probably blow off the carburetor, just says we're already in here. It's not too bad. And then we'll check the air filter. The air filter also doesn't look too bad. A little bit of discoloration, but not filthy enough to justify replacing it at this point. Just set up a little better there. And then I wipe everything out when I'm doing these inspections, just because nobody else is going to do this stuff and you're already in there. So it does not really take anything to just go through, wipe this stuff down really quick. It's like when you take your car to the car dealership and they fix it, they vacuum it afterwards. How are we doing? Hi there. What can I help you with?
Yeah, my trimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck.
Yep, I was able to get it off. The thrust put it on there.
Was it on? Was it on there, or was
No,
it?
it wasn't. See the thrust plate on there.
I looked all over. Couldn't
Yeah,
find
they'll
it.
fall off. There's nothing to hold them on there. Just goes around the shaft and take it off. Yeah,
It's gotta be someplace. So.
That's the only way to get it off if you don't have means and tools to do it. So
Yeah, I was trying to look to figure out how to do it. You have to go in through the.
I have to take the gear head off.
Yeah.
And then I've got a tool I can stick on the other head, on the other end of it, and lock it up. And then I can back it off. You can't just put needles, wires, or something there. You can strip that out and mess it up.
Yeah.
It's very precise. So
Yeah, I was watching somebody try to do it, and I was thinking, no, it's.
You'll mess that up, and then you gotta replace it. So
sit perfectly. Yeah.
If it's off just a little bit and it's not seating on there perfect, then it's going to be off. You're not going to have a balance. So as soon as you start running it, one side's heavier, and the other, and that's what vibration. Yeah, and then that's the part that you have to have, you know, lock it in.
Lock it in. Yeah.
So that's why this is so important.
Okay.
And then it spaces it out like a quarter inch, so that way you got. You were not able to rotate that. That's
Yeah.
what gives you that room to rotate it.
Okay. Okay.
Most important part on that assembly there.
Yeah, and I thought I would have that on there perfectly because the blade fits on there tight.
Yeah, so what I do is I tighten it down a ways, and then when it's almost tight, then I'll just take it back and forth until I feel it seat in there.
Okay.
And then I'll hold it, and I'll do one more turn, and then it'll be on there, and then I'll crank it down. Yeah, if it's bouncing back and forth, it's just because it's not on there, right?
Okay. Okay.
So that's 80, 93. And if for some reason you had the blade, it wasn't even all the way around, like you broke off like a 1 inch section of it or something, and next to it would be down. So more than likely it's just not sitting on there.
Yeah, it was a new blade, so I figured the blade wasn't a problem.
Yeah, and I would always go with the steel ones.
Yeah.
Because some of the aftermarket ones aren't exactly the right size and they don't fit tight.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, have a good one.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we are back. So went through everything here. Gonna dump the fuel out now, and then we're gonna check the fuel filter when we're in there. That's usually a 50-50 split. Half the time they're good, half the time they're bad. So what I'm gonna look for is a lot of debris and discoloration on there. So depending on the model you have, some of them have 2 filters in there. All right. So what I'm going to do, I've got a little fishing tool. That's how I get everything out of there. Fishing tool looks like this. So I will drop a link to my Amazon affiliate store. Make sure you guys check it out. I have this tool on there you can purchase through Amazon. And that is a great way to support the channel too. And there's the fuel filter. That one's dirty. We'll get a new one on there. All right, look at the difference in color on those two. So that's the old one, new one on there, black. And we'll shove that back down in there. Can't really see, but there's a lot of debris in there. I'm gonna blow it out really quick. All right, got fresh fuel in there. Put the air filter back on. Get the shroud back on. And then the shroud screws, those are all the same. It doesn't matter where they go. Of course, my impact's out of juice. Hold on a second. Get the recoil assembly on there. And the air filter cover. I'll try it and see if we can get it started. I'm going to purge this quite a few times to get all the old fuel out of there. All right, you can see it had some intermittent running, wouldn't go up to throttle. So I'm assuming the oil on that crankcase is going to be a leak. There's probably going to be some internal issues with it. So that's going to be my diagnosis for the customer. So we will have that conversation with them and see what they want to do with it. So that is all I got for this video. Look for a couple more videos to drop this afternoon. Have a good day, guys.